Hello, everybody. Welcome to a very special episode of the Loan Officer Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Johnstone, and we are joined today by Jason Scott. Jason, welcome to the show.
Hey, Chris, thanks for having me.
Now, we need to start this episode with a disclaimer.
Oh,
First off, we're recording from the garden today, so
okay.
you might hear a little bit of noise in the background, but there's definitely a ton of value that you're going to get here. And the other disclaimer is that Jason and I have known each other for more than a decade, I believe, that we've been working together. So
Yep.
this is behind the scenes look at somebody that's taken a long-term approach to SEO and marketing and all of these wonderful things. So again, Jason, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's minus 20 out where I am today, so the garden is quiet here.
Yes, everything's getting ready for the spring, I guess.
Yeah, please hurry up.
Absolutely. Okay, so to start the conversation off, I would like to talk because you have been ranked in the three pack in a major market for a long period of time. You're an authority on talking to the mortgage industry about what type of customers come from people Googling mortgage lender, mortgage broker,
Yeah,
finding you on the front page, calling you as a result of it. Who do
yeah.
you get on the other end of that phone call?
I get people who are ready to roll right then and there. They are generally highly qualified, highly motivated, and they are either making an offer, have made an offer, or they're getting ready to do something in the next 30 to 60 days. So in terms of the quality of client, it's fantastic. And in terms of turnaround time and sort of days till payday, it's less than 3 months, I would say, right?
That is amazing, especially compared to all of the other lead gen options that are out there.
Yeah, well, so I am not a big social media guy. I have spent money on various platforms for paid advertising and gotten absolutely nothing out of it. Like we're talking $0 in revenue for big ad spends. So maybe it's me, maybe it's the funnels aren't right or whatever. But I just find the SEO stuff when I'm in the three pack. It's killer. The phone rings, I answer the phone, and my goal is I'm either quickly disqualifying them because not everyone is, suitable for getting a mortgage right away, um, or I'm converting them to an application right then and there. And I'm doing the application over the phone rather than sending them to a website because I don't want them wandering off. I want them committing time and effort and energy and basically making that psychological commitment to me.
Yep, 100%. I couldn't agree with that more. That's one of the most powerful tools. Picking up the phone and then actually going through the loan application and using
Yeah.
that as an opportunity to steer them away from online lenders and steer them away from the pitfalls out there.
Yeah, yeah, that, and you get the nuance of the application and the person and what you need to be thinking about.
Hmm.
Um, so and stuff comes up where it could easily be a landmine if you did not have that phone call. Right?
Yep. Absolutely. And we talk a lot in the mortgage marketing animals about future casting and using that as an opportunity to really get down to, why you buying the house, what's the thing, so that in the future, when they get cold feet or they're having trouble finding the right house when you've got them pre-approved or whatever it is, you can always go back to that reason why they're going through the process and help reignite that deal.
Yeah.
Awesome. Rate shoppers. Do you get a lot of rate shoppers that come through?
Yes. So I'm in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And so we have some discount brokerages, sort of the Canadian equivalent of Rocket Mortgage, as it were. Although we also have Rocket Mortgage here now. So a lot of people are rate shoppers in the sense that that's all they know is
Yeah.
what's your rate, what's your rate, what's your rate. And a certain percentage of people, you know, you got your government employees with AAA credit, they can get approved anywhere and they know it, right? So there's probably a large percentage of, say, that demographic that would just go straight to an online discounter because for them, it's all about the rate. And the online discounter goes, yeah, this is great. We'll make our $500, but it was an hour and a half of work and it's pretty decent, hourly wage kind of thing. I like those deals too, because 250 or $500 an hour ain't bad. But yeah, by and large, I can turn the conversation to talk about strategy and of course, payout penalties. So, in Canada, our mortgages are typically, 3 to 5 year term. And quite often people will choose to break the mortgage early to go to a lower rate. So it can make sense.
Yeah, 100%. And of the applications that you take on the system, how many of
Mm.
those would you say are an opportunity for you to generate a relationship with a realtor? Like they're coming in, they haven't talked to a realtor, they don't have a relationship, they're starting the mortgage process with you, and then you get to refer them out, as opposed to who already has a realtor that's kind of finding you online.
Yeah, so I really focus on giving my referrals to um realtors. So like, I would say I'm unusual in the sense that, most mortgage brokers will run around asking, hey, Mr. Realtor, hey, Mrs. Realtor, got anything on your desk? Got anything on your desk? And I have built a system where, because of I'm getting so many well qualified leads, I'm giving my realtors deals, and it changes that relationship 100%. So when I call up my realtors, they answer the phone. We shoot the breeze about whatever, right? I'm like, hey, got a lead for you. There's none of this, sense of desperation when you're talking to them. And, I don't deal with cheesy realtors. My realtors are very professional, very good at what they do. And, they want me to qualify people as quickly as possible so they're not spinning their wheels driving people around who have no hope of getting a mortgage.
Yeah, and that's a huge difference between paid ads and earned leads or organic leads, inbound leads, because your ability, like if you dump a bunch of 100 Facebook leads on a realtor, that doesn't help them. It
No,
actually,
you're costing them money, right?
yeah,
So, yeah.
time and frustration. Okay, and then do you have like a rough idea of the phone calls that come in from Google? How many fund? Like if you get 10 phone calls, do you roughly know how many of those are going to fund?
I'll tell you that if I can convert them to an app, there's about a 25% chance of it funding.
Okay.
Okay. So there'll be calls that I eliminate for whatever reason, right? They go nowhere. But yeah, I'd say about 25%. So,
If you
um,
compare that to a referral from your database or from realtors, what would you say is your average, you know,
oh, I
uh,
would say like a referral or repeat business, I'm well over 50%, right?
yeah. Yep.
Occasionally someone will wander off or whatever, um, but I would say about 50% of my volume comes from online.
Directly from your Google business profile.
You got it. Yeah.
That is
So,
incredible.
so I'm not a particularly smart dude, but I'm smart enough to get you to do, the SEO stuff and like the concierge stuff if you want to talk about that. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's important to have systems in business. And you know, it would be completely wasteful of my time and efforts to even begin to learn SEO as an
Right.
example, right? Like I'll do mortgages, you do what you do, let's make money together, you know?
That's it. We call that who, not how.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so you mentioned the concierge program,
Yeah,
and you are very uh, I wouldn't say very new to the program, but newer to the program. I mean, we've been doing SEO together for a decade.
yeah.
Um, so compared to that, concierge is new. If it's okay with you, what I'll do, well, actually, it would be great to hear you explain what the concierge is and how you view it.
Okay. So I've been a mortgage broker for 16 or 17 years. And I would say I've got, I don't know, somewhere around 17 or 1800 people in my database. Okay. I think once we did the scrub, there was 1700 uploaded to
And that's
Concierge.
not all past clients, but like center of influence.
No, that was all past clients. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So, you know, I'll do 150 to 200 deals a year, right? Um, and I do not have the time to proactively reach out to people. I don't have the time to be really diligent about following up on renewals. And so I'm losing people through the cracks, right? It's like having a bucket and, it's a leaky bucket. And concierge, in my view, is like a big, wad of crazy glue that you stick in the various holes and, hopefully close some more deals. And I really started doing concierge in November, even though I signed up last May, recognizing that, hey, depending on SEO is dangerous. Like, one is a very dangerous number in business, right? So you have to have multiple strategies. And so concierge, the calls started going out to the database around November. And, as an example, this week I've done 11 calls to people. Well, I could tell you that a year ago I would have done 0 calls to people, right?
Yeah,
And so the calls that are going out are annual reviews, right?
yeah.
And so I spend anywhere from 5 minutes to, well, there was one fellow who wanted to talk for an hour, which is fine. And it was a little antsy to get off the phone, but he had serious questions and it was important to him, right? So the what I've been focusing on those calls is, okay, look, your rate is 1.8%. You're coming up for renewal in 2.5 years, and you're in for a world of hurt if we don't do something about it now in terms of
Yeah,
getting ready for higher rates and higher payments. So I've been using that as a way to say, okay, what can we do? What debts do you have? Can you increase your payments, etc.? And then the real benefit for me for the call is I get to say, hey, did you find this helpful? Who do you know who is looking to buy this year that I can help, right? Or who's
absolutely.
coming up for renewal,
So
right?
that's 11 calls with clients that are in your past customer database that
Yep,
said, yes, I want an annual mortgage
yep,
review. You did
yep,
11 mortgage reviews
yep.
in 1 week.
Yes, yeah. So, and like I was talking to one of the guys yesterday where, he was a repeat client and then he moved to Victoria and then he bought a place without me. And I was a little, sad when I heard that, especially when it was $1 million mortgage.
Ooh,
Uh, but, that's on me because I wasn't making the calls last year, right? So I guarantee when that guy comes up for renewal in 2 years, you know, we'll be talking and I won't have to do anything. I'll just be, looking at my calendar and going, okay, hey, I'm talking to so and so today. Great. Here we go.
absolutely. And for everybody out there, the concierge program is where we have one of our professional callers that's based in North America that acts as an extension of Jason's business, or your business. And we
Yeah.
call your past customer database, your pre-approved in lookings, qualified list of real estate agents, really all the calls that should be made that loan officers don't have. So we have a program called the Daily Success Plan. And Monday you make these calls, Tuesday you make these calls. And the concierge agent is for those of you that get busy enough that you can't make the calls anymore, because what that results in is what we call the loan officer roller coaster. So you do the money making activities, which is the calls and dropping people into the funnels, and that concierge is running the CRM for you as well.
Yeah.
That is what brings in those phone calls and those applications. Well, as soon as you start processing the loans, doing the deals, you stop making the phone calls and you're going through these waves. And that's what we call the roller coaster. And so
Yeah.
concierge is there so that when you don't have time to do the money making activities anymore, they step in and help to make those calls so that you just continue to kind of ladder step up in the business.
Yeah, exactly. So like Mondays, I call my realtors. Tuesdays, I do call, clients saying, here's what's happening, etc. And I'm new to that too. Like I'm nothing if not disorganized, right? So I signed up, I watched Carl's stuff for 6 years for mortgage marketing animals. And I just said, okay, I'll spend the money, get the coaching. Obviously there's stuff I know, and obviously there's muscles I need to exercise, right? So I'm doing the call stars, etc. Um, and so on Thursdays, which is supposed to be calling your past database, I don't do that. I'm busy focusing on deals, putting out fires before they happen, etc. The concierge is doing the calls to the database. Well, I mean, the system does it all the time. It does texts and emails, and then she gets on the phone and does what she does when she's triggered to do something, right? So,
Yep.
yeah.
Awesome. And then you put a fun little spin on it, and you took all of your previous applications that you had taken. What was the time frame on those previous apps that you gave to the concierge?
I gave her 2023.
Okay, so
And
last
so, yeah. What's interesting is well, I've got my significant other who just started working with me. She's doing my 2022 ones
year.
just because I
Nice.
thought they were super old. She's actually spun a few things coming this way. But the concierge is effective as well in terms of turning in, sort of reviving these sort of, you know, dead or on life support leads, right? So, so on Thursday, I have a purchase that's closing that the concierge was able to revive from last year's leads. And then I've been referred to that person's brother. So, there's potentially two deals where, yeah, they would have just fallen by the wayside, or I would have been reliant on people remembering to call me, right?
Yeah,
Again, another dangerous thing is to rely on other people. So,
yeah. And we found that, all of those past applicants and even going out to realtors and working realtors databases for them and using the concierge as that value add service to the realtor, but also that call that goes out to them. There are a lot of people that in the boom, they gave up. They were just like, this is not for me. And there's a lot of deals out there in those people that just need to be reminded that, hey, the market might be a great time to get in right now. Do you want to just revisit your finances and see where you fit? And there's a
yeah,
lot of people that are re-engaging those pre-apps that they took 2 years ago, 3 years ago when the market was just crazy. And those
yeah.
people still want to buy a house.
Yeah, for sure. And, I mean, one of the great things about the program is it gets rid of that call reluctance because the system reaches out first, right? So, you don't have to worry about your feelings getting hurt if someone says, get lost, we went elsewhere.
Right? Exactly. And the
So,
thing that I love about the concierge, this is something that was a huge aha moment for me in building the program, is we found an entire subculture of people that are just professional appointment setters. Like there's professional
yeah,
salespeople. Like
yeah,
I did not know that.
yeah,
And there's a whole industry, like they have conferences just for appointment setters,
yeah,
and these people are just like really good at building rapport really fast, overcoming objections, being script based. And even if you take somebody who's like, yeah, I call my database, oftentimes we can get a concierge that comes in that can actually generate more referrals than the mortgage broker themselves, just because they're a professional at making those calls, which is
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, yeah. I mean, so the only, okay, here's my big complaint, Chris.
All right, let's have it.
So the way the system works is I think I get to reach out to 200 people per month, right?
Yep,
So that means to get through my database takes 8 months,
yep,
but you should be reaching out to people, like 4 times per year in an ideal world, right?
yep,
Now, I do reach out to people in other ways like email CRMs and stuff like that. But theoretically, it should be more, right?
yep.
Having said that, it's way more than I was doing. So I'll let you off
Well,
the hook.
I've got great news for you. So we just had our big AI conference with Carl White down in Florida, and I am a socially awkward dude at best. So me in front of a live audience for 2 days was an absolutely terrifying thing. So in my mind, I was just like, I'm going to create so much freaking value for everybody that shows up at this thing. There's no way anybody can laugh at me.
Yeah.
And so what I did was I wrote an entire year's worth of database marketing. And I made it so that there was 2 emails and a text message that go out every month at the beginning of every month. But what I did was I made it like theme based. So month number 1 is the annual mortgage review and
Right.
reaching out, booking the mortgage review. But then in month number 2, we focused on financial planning. And at the end of every email, it's like, I've been in the industry for X number of years. I have a trusted network of professionals that I'd love to introduce you to. If you want a connection to a financial planner, reach out. The next month is an insurance agent. The next month after that is an attorney. The next month after that is an accountant. The next month after that is somebody that helps specifically with taxes. Basically, what I took was all of the referral partners that we should be getting relationships with, making each month of the database marketing campaign
Right.
focused on educating and building value. And then at the very end, it's like, hey, if you want to talk to a professional about this, reach out. I'm your connection to all these people.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do on your account is we're going to load that in. And rather than having the concierge make the outbound phone calls, what we'll do is we'll put the database in every month. And then the concierge will just be the one that's fielding all the inbound that comes from that. And that way we can work the whole database, but we can work it once a month.
Right. Okay. Problem solved.
There you go. And
Yeah.
yeah, so, and again, it's one of those things where, you know, my perspective on life, and you've known me long enough, it's like, how can I, if you create enough value for another people, that's the best way to live your life. And
Yeah.
that's really what we're trying to do with the concierge, because the big problem that we saw in the industry was, hey, there's money in these lists, there's money in the
Oh
database, there's
God,
money in the
it was a
realtors,
fortune.
and most people don't make the calls.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, what else is there when you know, I'm not ready to retire yet, but at some point I will be, right? And there's no asset base unless you're getting your money out, you know, either using commissions to buy real estate or fund private mortgages or whatever,
Yep.
right? And so if you're going to sell a business, your database and the systems around it are basically all that's there.
Yeah, that's right. And that becomes an asset, because so
For sure.
many people are so unorganized with their database, they can't sell it. You know,
Yeah,
but if you're organized and you got a system in place and it runs automatically and you got people that are managing it for you, all of a sudden you've got an asset that's tangible that you can sell to somebody else when you're
yeah,
retired or when
yeah,
you're ready to retire.
yeah.
Awesome. Jason, thank you so much for being so generous with your time.
Sure,
Uh,
my pleasure.
how amazing it is to work with you. For those of you that are listening to this episode, if you would like information on the SEO program or you would like information on the concierge program, you can email Chris, CHRIS, at connectionincorporated.com. And Jason, for those in the Canadian industry that are interested in more information about you, where do people go to get more information about you?
So I'm in Edmonton. My website's edmontonmortgagebroker.com. I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. I do videos on LinkedIn. So you can find me there. It's just under my name. Yeah, I don't do TikTok. I don't do Instagram. I'm old, man. I'm old.
That is a-okay.
Yeah,
You know what? Do you have 5 more minutes?
yeah, of course.
You mentioned something that really piqued my interest when we were chatting just before the episode, and it's that you run a podcast. Can you
Yeah, I
talk to
do.
me a little bit about that?
Okay, so you know who Scott Peckford is, of course.
Yes. Yeah, I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah. So for anyone who's not familiar, Scott Peckford is a mortgage broker who then became a mortgage coach. Then he started a mortgage brokerage called BRX. Really bright guy, lots of energy. And one of the things that he created a few years ago was this podcast series for mortgage brokers. So um, the one I happen to run is iloveedmontonrealestate.com. And so essentially what it is I interview realtors and, you know, we talk about whatever theme we want to talk about and whatever's going on in the local market on any given month. And they can use it as a database or marketing tool, or if they've got new leads, they can say, hey, you want to learn more about me? listen to the podcast. And for me, it's SEO content, and it's the beginning of a beautiful relationship with a new realtor. So
That
highly
is
recommend podcasts.
how of the realtors that you interview on the show, how many of them would you say you get partnerships with?
Like 98% of them.
Come on, really?
Yep,
And you do deals with those people?
absolutely. And some of them I've done deals with for, I don't know how long I've been running the podcast for. I think since 2016, 2017, somewhere in there. Now, the first guests were people I already had relationships with, right?
Right. Yep.
But since then, yeah, I've added more, and yeah, 100%.
That is
You know,
amazing.
yeah.
How do you pick the people that you want as guests on the show? Do you look at volume? What's the indicator that you
No, it's not so scientific.
look?
A purchase contract comes in, and I go, oh, look, there's a realtor. I'll call up the realtor and say, hey, I'm working on this file. And then, I make sure I communicate really well. And then at the end of it, I say, hey, I run this podcast. You interested? And most people say yes. A few people sort of blow me off, but such is life in sales.
That is genius. Yep.
Yeah,
It's the more no's you can get, the better, because that means you're getting yeses on the other side.
yeah, exactly. So, yeah, and so in terms of, my targets for this year, like I had a real, shall we say, dry spell on the podcast where I went a long time without doing any episodes. I mean, COVID didn't help the cause, right?
Uh-huh.
But I've committed to firing that up again. I've done a whole bunch of episodes that have either been launched or are sitting ready to roll right now.
Yep.
And it's a value add. I do the LinkedIn videos, and those also are on YouTube for SEO purposes. I mean,
Yep.
I think I have 3 subscribers, but hey, baby steps,
Google
baby
doesn't care.
So, anyways, it's all sort of designed to try to help your crew do the SEO stuff because, as we mentioned prior to the start of actual recording here, Google got nasty and for whatever reason randomly changed my listing name, which is kind of like the kiss of death in SEO,
Yep.
and I plummeted down the rankings and out of the 3 pack, and now we're working on getting back in there.
Yep. We're shortly going to be there, which is fantastic.
Yeah, actually, I had a question for you.
Yeah, for sure.
So Rob McClister and his Mortgage Logic newsletter. If you're not familiar with it, I'll send you an email. You should subscribe.
Okay.
Um, but he had a big thing that came out a week or two ago about how AI is going to absolutely kill like 90%. I think he said 60 to 80% of brokers or businesses who are relying on traditional SEO when it comes to, ranking well.
Hmm.
A lot of the keywords are changing because people are using their phones and talk to text for
Yep.
doing searches now.
Yes.
So I guess the question is, what is your team doing to get ahead of the curve on that stuff?
Yeah. So that is an excellent question, very insightful. And already we see about 80% of search traffic is in what's known as the long tail.
Yeah,
So the fat head, the top 3% to 5% is mortgage broker or mortgage
yeah,
lender. Like
yeah.
people that
Or
search
best
that.
rate or whatever. Yeah,
Exactly. And Google's become really good at identifying um, which phrases have purchase intent. And those are the ones where they've gotten rid of the ads at the top of the search page and the map placement is showing up. And half of what that is saying is like, if you're not focused on the long tail, you're missing 80% of the traffic because the majority of search phrases today are people talking to their phones, and therefore there are these long string queries of, find me the best mortgage broker in Edmonton who's got 5-star ratings and reviews that specialize in working with first-time home buyers.
right.
Well, that's a heck of a keyword.
Yeah,
But when that person does that Google search and sees you in the 3-pack and calls you, that's one of the best quality leads you can get
yeah,
because they're ready to go. So and the way that you do that is by building authority on the main search phrase. So you want to have Google ranking you as a mortgage broker so that it sees you as the authority above all of those other search phrases that you can go after. And then it's about going through and looking at the search phrases and identifying the ones that are specific to your business. So whether you work with reverse mortgage or, some people are more rate based, they want to play the rate game. Some people are, whatever. It's about identifying, okay, what are those long tail search phrases that I really want to go after? And then just making sure that your content and your Q&A supports that thread of keywords that you want to go after in the long tail. But you have to build the authority up front and then it cascades down.
Right. See,
The,
and I'm going to suggest that there isn't a mortgage broker alive as an individual or as a team who should be doing that stuff. Like
yeah.
that's a complete waste of time. That's where you come in.
Yeah, and I will tell you this, we're very heavily focused in our SEO department right now on what we feel is coming. We were very early on when Google gave AI the ability to rank websites. We were, in my opinion, the first in the industry that figured out how that worked. I mean, I took essentially a fake mortgage site in my hometown of Orangeville, and I was ranked in less than 30 days and bumped out a competitor that had been there for 4 or 5 years, just off
Right.
traditional organic SEO. But I think that we're in a bridge point between traditional SEO in the 3-pack and what's coming in the future, which is artificial general intelligence powered life. It's not
Right.
even search anymore, because if you look at just like, the Apple headset that's come out, the Vision Pro, we're in 3 years, we're going to be so meshed with our devices and artificial intelligence, like people are pattern based. And so it's going to be able to identify when somebody starts looking at real estate or they're interested. As soon as they find a property and they're searching for it, it's going to be able to pull up a rate calculator right beside it and be like, hey, here's all your numbers, here's your math. You know what I mean? And people going to Google, and you can already see this on some of the really competitive search phrases and the search phrases that drive a lot of revenue for companies like, Nike running shoes or people selling health and fitness or that sort of thing. When you do Google searches in some of these really competitive markets, the 3-pack is being bumped down, and there's actually an AI generated window that you can interact with that shows up at the top that's powered by Google's AI. And
Right.
so what's going to happen in the future is that search is going to become displaced by artificial intelligence assistants. Everybody's going to have their own AI assistant, which is going to replace your phone. So right now we have phones with apps, right? And if you want to get maps, you have to unlock your phone, go to the maps icon, hit the search, type in where you want to go, hit directions, wait for it to load up, and then hit start. Like there's still, if you want to use a map interface and get somewhere, there's 10
Yeah.
interactions that you need to have with a device.
Right.
In the future, it's like, I want to go to my favorite restaurant with Robin, take me there. And boom, it just like knows. And as soon as you get in the car, GPS is already on. And all you've had to do is talk to your personal assistant, but your personal assistant is AI, and it
Yep.
knows Robin is my wife. It knows what our favorite restaurant is because I taught it 6 months ago. Hey, this is our favorite restaurant. And so it's like this thing that never forgets, it's always listening. And search will become 100% voice based, 100% based on each individual person. And so SEO is feeding AI as much information as it possibly can so that the data that OpenAI and Google has about, what's the best mortgage broker in Edmonton, all of the content that you've created, all of the frequently asked questions, the Q&A, the video content, all of that being pushed into that artificial intelligence archive. is what's going to surface those search results in the future.
Right. And then so me or any other broker out there as an individual, I mean, you're going to have to be smart and nimble, I guess, in order to not get crushed by, some massive mortgage inc. bank or whatever,
Well,
RBC decides to crush the broker space as an example and, spend X billions of dollars on AI, they could theoretically do it whenever they wanted to.
theoretically, but I think that the AI is going to be smart enough to understand that, people will always want to do business with people.
Right.
And especially, if you categorize purchases and we take, running shoes and protein powder at the bottom all the way up to like buying a home,
Yeah.
there's not many purchases that rank for an individual on the order of importance as buying a home and getting a mortgage. It's like
Right.
the pinnacle of
Yeah.
decisions that people make in their lives.
Right.
I think that AI is smart enough to know that people will always want a local individual that's trustworthy, that has good ratings and reviews, people saying good things about them online, and they'll connect them with that. And I don't think, in my personal opinion, you're right, a big bank could spend a ton of money to try and do that. But if you look at the current search landscape, almost every single one of those major lenders are sleeping giants in the fact that they're not promoting their local branches and their local reps with 5-star ratings and reviews.
Right.
And they're if that's the quality signal, which we know that it is,
Yeah.
there are many local brokers that will be able to outperform. And it's almost like the David and Goliath story.
Yeah.
David in the local marketplace will be able to beat the Goliath just by doing the right thing. But looking at it in a more, and this, I struggle with this personally, but like if I do something and I help somebody, I need to talk about it online, or I need to get them to talk about it online, because that's what's going to funnel the next customer into the business.
Right.
It can't just be offline anymore. It needs to be a hybrid approach.
Right. Yeah. And you need all these other, media, for lack of a better word, media channels, the YouTubes, the podcast station, or the podcast website, I should say, all of it feeding back to your main website and that feeding into your Google listing.
That's right. 100%. You nailed it.
Yeah. So,
well, Jason, I think we just recorded 2 episodes in one. That was like we wound down and then wound back up. That was amazing. Thank you for the conversation.
yeah, my pleasure.